Hi, Matt.
Hi, how's it going, mate?
Hey, lovely to meet you finally.
Yeah, good to see you too. You look even better in person.
Yeah, I'm I'm trying to be. I started the recording for us. Don't worry about that at all because I can cut it in the end. So I can just cut down this part like if we decide to leave something out or just say like hi everyone and go on.
Okay.
I can just start it from there later on. So it's totally fine.
So you're recording at the moment, are you?
Yeah, I just started it, if you don't mind.
Okay. So you can send me a copy of the file when we finish.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah? And
Yeah,
it's all working, is
definitely.
it? It's all working, is it?
Yeah.
It's all good, yeah? Okay. I'm on my phone, by the way, so is that good?
Yeah, it's totally fine on my side. I can see you well.
Okay, cool. So how's your day been?
It's been like quite exciting so far. This is my first time in really using eBay as it should be. So after I like talked with you and I found out about your site, like I really started to check like what are available there, all in all. So far, I've been more discovering things on different auction websites that we have here in Hungary and in Central
Right.
Europe, and the offering is totally different. Uh, it's
There are
re-
some good there are some good antiques in Hungary though.
there are some sites which are like can be very useful, but you really have to be lucky to find something that is really nice as an antique.
Well,
There are some auction houses and most of the or some antique dealers, and most of them they go actually to the Netherlands, to the UK, and to some part in Western Europe to auction houses or even to these garage sales, where to smaller villages and they where they just buy up everything and they get back here. And most of the time, they really don't have much idea about what different things are. They just collect everything from First World War weapons to Chinese antiques to everything, and they try to be more in a large scale to get everything in bulk and put everything for like 1 cent
so
to the auction side.
so are you hoping to start some antique dealing in Hungary then?
Maybe we'll see. But
So do you get UK television there?
mm, I think like on the TV channels that we have, we don't have. We only have Hungarian ones. We have some uh, we have some like National Geographic and those channels that are available internationally, but most all of them are translated to Hungarian. So we have
Well,
really good dubbed, like internationally recognized dubbing for everything.
there's a show in the UK called Bargain Hunters,
Mm.
and the guy's name is Drew. I can't remember his surname, but he travels around up and down the country buying antiques from like old churches and buildings that are going to be demolished and things like that. Well, he's done trips to Hungary and he
Oh,
loves it
really?
out there. He bought loads of really good stuff.
Wow.
But you see, the antiques in Hungary, you probably don't think they're valuable, but they sell for good money back here.
I would say something like that. Yeah. Like here,
Mhm.
I think that's a big issue that we have a lack of skills how to identify really good antiques in the region. And like Hungary has been a gateway, or in the history in the past, it was multiple times a gateway between the east and the west. Like we had some trade routes going to Europe. We all the time, even in our past, when like our ancestors were riding on the horse back in back in the emergence of the Christian era and all that. Like we had trips to Germany, to the Teutonic tribes, back to like down to Italy, and we collected a lot of things. And actually, like most of those things are scattered around in the region here, but
Basically,
people are unaware.
basically, if it's 100 years old, it's worth something.
And here, almost everything is 100 years old, at least.
Okay, cool. So I wrote out a list, right? Because after talking to you, once the way it works in my mind is once I make a commitment to something, then ideas start coming up
Yeah.
that are useful for the conversation. Yeah. Without the commitment, that I probably would never have thought about these things. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
So I made a little notepad, just things to discuss. They're not nothing that's going to put you on the spot or make you feel uncomfortable or anything. Just little things I noticed about your business and after watching your videos and things. So if you wanna just run through those quick, did you?
Yeah, definitely.
Because I think they will help you, and that will help you to help other people, because that's, from what I could gather, that's the business you're in.
Yeah.
So, this is for the sake of YouTube. So, like you say, we can edit bits out and stuff as we go along, and you can edit it and upload it to your own channel however you like, you know. So, for the sake of YouTube, do you want to just introduce yourself quick and tell us a little bit about your business?
Yeah, definitely.
Go for it.
So actually, this is quite an interesting topic already, I would say, because I have been experiencing a really hectic and volatilely changing path in my life. Like for my background, I started as a scientist in the past when I was in
Same here.
same there as well.
Engineering, yeah.
Nice. When I was in high school, I always dreamed of some kind of really like high-tech job where in the future when I would go to my kids' school for the Father's Day, for example, and everyone will say what the parents are working with. I was thinking of having something like really future-focused, something really that makes the people drop their jaws. So I was really like fascinated with science, with biotechnology, with cloning, gene manipulation, this really high-tech stuff. And due to this, I ended up in biochemical engineering courses at the university. So I was in the beginning really fascinated about like how we are having gene manipulation and cloning in our everyday life now, with making even for such a traditional things like making beer. That's nowadays done by genetically engineering different yeasts that we are using to brew the
But
beer.
they don't tell you that on the label, though, do they?
Yeah. But this is like I got really fascinated how this is already in our life. It's not like something futuristic, but this is not like on the forefront that everyone is seeing it on the day-to-day level. And when I went to the labs, I actually figured out that this is also like not that like futuristic sounding as it is, or not that futuristic itself as it is sounding from like this whole concept. So when I ended up in the lab, I realized that okay, it sounds cool to clone like bacteria and work with viruses and all that, but in the day-to-day life, it's like pouring together different transparent fluids into small bottles and hoping that the different bacteria will behave differently, or some kind of chemical thing will happen. But it's a
Right.
bit like working in a kitchen, like you're putting things together and you hope that you don't burn the things, and you will end up like cook something nice in the end of the day. But it's not like you don't see molecularly what's happening and all that. And I felt it's it's for my side, staying on one place in one laboratory is a bit too restrictive. For me, I'm more like a person to go out to explore things. Before this modern wave, for my past, I wanted to be an archaeologist, like going out, discovering ancient ruins and finding like treasures and all that. And I had this fight in myself between this future side and modernity, and also the antiques and the ancient eras and all this clashing, you know.
So,
So
how do you feel about the ethics of genetically modifying things? Because there's, well, I think the pharmaceutical industry is much more advanced than they let on to the general public with regards to foods, additives, and vaccines and things like that. So, for me, if I was in that industry, that would cause me a conflict because I believe in God and spiritual things, and nature should be, nature is already perfected in that regard. So how do you feel about the moral aspect of it?
that's a really interesting question that you brought up. On one side,
I think if you are going to get into that business and you're in touch with your higher mind would probably guide you towards better, bigger things. That's just my opinion.
yes, I would say so. So for the ethics itself, like what you mentioned, that nature has really perfected these systems. I think you are right in this regard. Like these systems that we have also in our body, or even in like small organisms like in bacteria, they are really meticulously designed, and they are really operating in a really fine-tuned manner. And
Synergistically.
yeah, synergistically, and in a really mm, in a really complex way. Like there are different chemical reactions happening at the same time in multiple pathways, and they are all interacting with each other. And it's
And
really,
they also, evolution upgrades itself as well.
yeah, and this is really fine tuned in itself and works properly. So this is why, like penetrating this system and making some influences is nowadays done in a really careful way. In the pharmaceutical industry, for example, like there are really rigid, really strict protocols how to measure a trillion different parameters when, for example, a small organism is being manipulated, because it like with the past years, researchers have already seen that maybe changing something in one point of the system actually in the longer time can change different other things that they wouldn't expect in the beginning, because even nowadays the researchers are discovering major differences, like major new pathways or major new mechanisms, how the different things in the bacteria behave, for example, which they haven't seen before, and they are even shocked by themselves, like how they could overgo these things, and how they couldn't uncover these things before, you know. So there are still a lot of things to discover, and because of this, like now if they change something, for example in the DNA of the bacteria, it can still bring up different different unexpected results on different sides that they wouldn't expect it. So because of this, there have been a trillion of different type of measurements and analytics created, like how they can, how much they should weight, how can they really carefully change things.
We don't really understand DNA all that much. What the scientists understanding of DNA is, if you take some DNA and then you splice some different DNA in there, you get a combination of a different effect, isn't it? That's about what it boils down to.
Yeah, they try to like the human brain tries to simplify things as much as possible. Even though we are good at like being on the systemic level and understanding that different things are influencing each other, but still I think from like the hereditary side, or from from the inside, we are really trying to simplify everything to cause less headache for ourselves. So unintentionally, but sometimes the human brain is overlooking other factors that are influencing things, and because of this, yeah, we tend to regard that gene manipulation as like playing with Legos, like taking out some building blocks, as you said,
Yeah.
and putting in another one. But we don't always consider like that taking out this building block might influence some hidden things that we haven't discovered before. And that's why it's like people like the researchers are trying to be really careful how to assess like the changes, try to be comprehensive, but it's not really easy these days still. So for small organisms, like more simple ones like some bacteria which only have like one cell, it's relatively easy to see that if you put in some new Lego blocks, then all in all the system is behaving differently. Like the bacteria is going to do something else, but even within
Have you
that, we
heard
are not
that?
sure.
Have you heard that theory that if you take stem cells and you shine light through them, you can transform them into any other cell? And I'm not sure. I'm not sure how the science works, but they can you could take the same stem cell and you could make a frog, and you could pass different light through it, or do something, and then you could make a newt from the same stem cells. I'm not sure how it works, but anyway.
Yeah, like generally
So
stem cells can be used for a lot of things. Yeah, like they are like a newborn baby, and you can decide like what kind of profession they are going to have later on. And most of the time, these stem cells, like when they are, for example, in the body, they get different different signals from the environment where they are. So it is most of the time the mother's womb where they get different chemicals that influence them when they start growing the baby, or later in our human body, like maybe there can be some different hormones that reach them and signal them that now it's time to differentiate and become like some kind of special cell later on. And I
and of
can
course,
imagine that
if
even like
you
light can somehow induce some kind of chemical reaction at some point, and those chemicals maybe act as a signal for them to change in some way.
well, of course, plants use light to manifest photosynthesis, don't they?
Yeah.
So have you heard? So in your field, as a scientist, before you did a little career change, did you come across any interesting stuff about military experiments and stuff?
Military experiments.
Area 51.
Well, I have a
Because if you wanna blow the whistle, now's the time to do it.
well, I have always loved the the topic of bioweapons. Like I think this is like generally a very mystified territory. So I was also from this concept, just like from the discovery of this field, like why is it so shady? Like there's such a few information going around it. I was interested, I generally to discover like what is this really about, and like what is a bioweapon, or like how this is combined with like biotechnology or gene manipulation, or what is this all in all, and. Yeah, like in biotechnology, generally, bioweapons are like basically bacteria that are in this Lego process. Like some of these building blocks are changed in their DNA to be more rigid, to be more like stiff, to be more like resistive, to have better resistance against different circumstances in the environment. So, for example, like a bioweapon, it is almost like the same bacteria or same kind of yeast it can be, like what is used for brewing beer in the broad concept, but they just change some other genes in this bacteria. On one side, when they use it for industrial applications like brewing beer, they change some genes that makes them, for example, able to eat the corn or the different starches in the in the liquid of the beer, and they will be empowered, like able to produce alcohol in themselves and push it out into this liquid tank where we produce the
Well,
beer. But in bioweapons,
they're
sorry?
attempting to augment reality, aren't they? Really,
Yeah,
enhance reality.
yeah. Like
So just to focus, so we don't go down the biochemical weapons path too much. So I assume at some point you had a career change, and then you got into consulting. With are you a marketing expert? Would you call yourself that?
I would call myself as a
Consultant.
market research consultant more than a marketing expert itself. So marketing is, yeah, more about like social media marketing or even like direct marketing in shops or other places. But for me, I'm more specialized in market research generally, like how to identify information about key opinion leaders or different type of target people who you would like to contact if you wish to enter different markets or different countries or different places. So, for example, I work with a pharmaceutical company which wanted to start marketing their available medicine in a different country in Southeast Asia, and they haven't been there yet. And they wanted to have a market research where they can find like specific doctors who are really focused on that area and who are not only just doctors in the local hospital but are more decision makers who have created different standards or like different guidelines in the country and have power in all the medical associations there, you know, and also specialize in that field. So they wanted to partner up with them and get their advice how to enter the market and all that. So it is like this one, for example, was generally hard to find relevant people in countries where most of the websites are not in English, for example, you know, or even in China where they don't even use Google, they use Baidu instead, or in Korea where you really like you also don't use Google, you use like Kakao Talk for messaging, you use like you know like totally different platforms that we are having here in Europe or in the US, and for me, all in all, like I have always had this kind of fascination for finding things. Let it be antiques, or let it be hard to find information, or let it be finding the strings in more complex industries like biotechnology. So it was my passion more to discover hidden things than staying in one territory.
So you're a good researcher.
I I hope that I have this ability of serendipity, like finding valuable things in general.
Cool. So so I've watched some of your videos on your multiple YouTube channels, which you haven't really developed yet, have you?
Yes, I'm very early stage at my YouTube channel. Actually, I have been like enrolled in different projects before. I started up different initiatives but I have this tendency of changing fairly quickly from project to project, and most of the time in the past I started building new brands from scratch. So whenever I started a new project, I always created a new YouTube channel for that one. I created new like social media profiles, and I developed it to an extent where like I made some kind of holistic view on what is that actual thing is, like simplified it in some visual way, like made some nice videos, some visual posts about it, like how I try to concise the message, put it into different forms. And after that time, I most of the time experience that it's really hard to start a brand from scratch again. And actually, most of the time, I got into some unexpected issues. Like when I started to create this face mask 3D printed accessory that I mentioned you in one of the videos, that you could just attach to your face mask now in this COVID era to block the vapor that's coming up from your breath of fogging your glasses. I just like I put together the YouTube channel, like all the social media content, and realized that Facebook, Instagram, everything blocked my all my adverts, all my announcements, because this was considered a sort of medical device, and only specific companies got the eligibility to trustfully announce like medical related things to the people.
Facebook censorship is quite strict at the moment with regards to what people can and can't post about COVID. Some people are saying that they are trying to hide the truth. So if you're bringing out a new invention that they feel is not in line with the mainstream narrative, they're probably likely to come down on that quite hard, I reckon.
Yeah.
So your video intros are very good, by the way. They're very the graphics in them and the technical quality, I think, is very good.
You.
And also your mask device, which I will just paraphrase for the listener, is a device that Roland fits to the top of a face mask, so a PPE, personal protection equipment face mask, and it stops your glasses fogging up. And he 3D prints those, and I think that's an excellent idea. And you said to me, you said to me in a Skype that you thought you'd missed out on the curve on that a bit. I don't think you have. I think since the COVID thing, there'll always be, even when we've got through this, which we more or less are in most Western countries anyway, there will still be people who want to wear face masks, I think. But more on a bigger scale, there's always going to be hospital staff, dentists, doctors, and people like that who are going to wear face masks anyway. So I still think there's a market for that. So that's something you could think about not giving up on just yet.
You are right, and even me myself as an eyeglass wearer, I actually figured out that I'm still having the same issue in the face mask now, almost at summertime, as what I had in the cold winter time when the fog was coming up. Because still, like somehow this, like the breath in the warm weather, somehow covering up with the sweat, like it ends up being like a big struggle as a fog on the eyeglass. So I wish they are going to, or I hope that they are going to elevate this kind of restriction and be more open a bit for smaller startups like the one I wanted to launch. If they also have the way that it is properly packaged, properly expressed in a way that is not like misleading, and also really like supporting the people. Like what I have seen is that generally for startups nowadays it's becoming really tough to get from 0 to 1. And after you build some presence, like it's more of self-generating process, but many of them fail in this beginning part because of like most of the time because of having such few resources to align with all these restrictions that are happening around us, like that what I came across with with this small application. And it's not about like it's not about like even the money, like the prototyping, like financing the prototype or anything like that, but more that being so small and complying with all those things is it's not easy.
So have you patented the idea?
No, generally not. I have seen
Yeah,
many. You think?
I think because I think if you don't run with it, I think someone else will. I think to focus on making that a success, you need to be pitching your marketing campaign to health advisors like the NHS and National Health England, and
Yes.
obviously in your own country. But you need to get some legal copyright attached to it because someone else will make it cheaper,
Yeah.
and they will make millions of pounds from your idea.
Well, I have seen that there are like many similar solutions nowadays on the market for the past couple of months. But you are totally right. Like if someone like this is also my conclusion. If I want to even launch this one or any other type of product, nowadays we can only think about other platforms that we can use on to like sit on. Like Newton said that he was always sitting on the back of other giants when he invented new things. You know, like not starting from totally scratch, but building on what is already trusted, what is already known or discovered. And in this case, it's more like trusted.
Standing on the shoulders of giants.
Yes.
Okay, cool. So you help other companies start up, is that correct?
Yes. Like
Okay.
for the past years during my university, I've been enrolled in different startup projects from agricultural drones to bioreactors to even like small printing shops here in Hungary. And I have seen like different business models and how to really like come from the ideation phase to the prototype one. Like I think the most like the most difficult part is is getting started in the beginning and convincing the first people that if you have an idea, it's really something that's going to change the world. And I have found myself it's really tough to get the first people on your side when you are standing with a new solution.
I imagine it's very difficult for companies starting up to actually get their product and their company in front of the eyes of a lot of people, and also how to get support as well, because you have startups that do GoFundMe and things like that, and some of them do okay and generate hundreds of thousands of pounds, and some of them just do nothing and make a few £100. And I imagine talking to someone like you would be the difference between whether they flop or succeed when they launch their startup.
Yeah, but in sometimes you would be surprised how small things can prevent this large amount of success. Like just simply like for example, being in Hungary, I wanted to do a GoFundMe campaign, and literally whole Eastern Europe is completely closed out of Kickstarter, of Indiegogo, of all the big platforms, because everyone is trying to stick with the well-known, the trusted channels, you know. Like for me, if I wanted to make an Indiegogo campaign, I would need to relocate myself at least to Austria. That is already a trusted place for Indiegogo to start my campaign. And I find like these kind of restrictions in such a globalized society quite crazy. So yeah, for the startup side also, like maybe it's my experience that sometimes it's tough to come from 0 to 1, because for my background dealing with biotechnological projects like this is fairly complex, and it's quite hard to put it in a concise way to the people to like directly understand what is happening about without like describing like this gene manipulation or whatever things. So it's not like
So you have to
for
focus.
example, the antiques, where you have a beautiful vase and you can directly put it to the people, and they can like see aesthetic value, like they can grasp it, like what is it, and it's much easier to like make them understand, like your product or your service. It's more abstract in this other side. So this is like, for example, why I had a lot of time recently in design and in the marketing field, because I had to struggle a lot with my projects to how to make all these like more complex processes really concise, like really easy to understandable, with nice designs in simple way, because I also had like 1 minute to make you understand even a super like complex project. Same way,
Yeah,
like you have 1 minute to show the ways and make people understand what is it about.
yeah. So you need to really focus on what is required, what people are looking for, and how to make that a success. So really, you're focusing on what works, aren't you?
Yeah.
Rather than trying to overcomplicate the system and getting distracted with too many details.
Or getting distracted by your own like thoughts.
Yeah,
Like
your
I
own.
got into that issue before.
Well,
That
you could focus down on that by understanding what is required. Do you know what I mean? So
exactly.
it's not about elaborating on every detail, because you don't need to prove anything to fill in all the blanks and stuff. You need to be able to focus on just what works, what someone's asking of you, and then be able to supply that.
Yes, exactly. And I think that is where a lot of startup fails. That people would like to realize their own dream to the ultimate extent. Everyone is, I think, in this side, everybody is a perfectionist and would like to take out the max when it comes to their own self-realization. So when people get like most of the time when people want to start a startup, they want to get into that dream job that they are their own boss, also for working and also for the product that they design. They would like they most of the time you have a dream that you would like to realize, and this altogether comes to be too nice to be true to work on it and even earn a living from it. But because it's your own dream, it might not be suitable for other people. And this is what I have also seen that before, that when I had, for example, one vision, that there were some people who aligned with it and some not. And it was much more difficult to transform my vision into a tangible product and bring an impact than doing it vice versa and listening to the people what is really needed by the majority and to tailor something to that market that is already there and present.
So I'll give you an example, right, of focusing on like summarizing what you're trying to say. And my advice to anyone listening would be to dream big, but start small.
Yes,
So that
dream big,
just
it's important.
summarizes it.
And be adaptive. If you need to change your idea, um, you should listen to the market and tailor your idea in a way that it's fitting the market as well.
Okay, cool. So the other thing I want to talk about is just two more questions. Well, two more subjects I'll bring up. They're not questions, so don't feel like obliged to
Not at all. I think these
talk
are
in
really
depth
cool
about it.
topics in generally.
So another of your projects, which I think is brilliant, by the way, and I thoroughly enjoyed watching the videos about it, is your I don't know what to call it. It's not a company, so we'll just call it a project or a startup. But the name of it is called Animals to You.
Yes.
So I think that's a brilliant idea. And do you want to tell the listeners a little bit about that?
Yes, definitely.
So what is it? And How does it work and how does it benefit people?
So Animal to You was a thought that actually got realized by a farm in the US just right at the start of COVID a year ago. Um, I remember reading an article about a farm, either in Seattle or California, uh, struggling with feeding their animals much when the COVID struck. And they had this idea. They had most of the mostly in the ranch llamas and goats, and they had this idea of connecting their goats into different video calls online. Uh, After all, like nowadays, you are more and more accustomed to bringing your pet to your work, to your office. Like now that all the office has gone digitized, like why not connect those other type of animals that you otherwise wouldn't bring into your office because they are like smelly or like dangerous or anything else. So my idea was that wow, this is a very good idea in generally to connect animals. But if you can connect goats, now that as I described, like being online can really allow you to connect any type of animals that you otherwise wouldn't be able to bring to your office. So why not connect something more exotic, like tigers or seals or like marine animals or even like monkeys that really would like spice up the conversation that you have. So I went to
So
the local zoo and I
can
told,
I just interject?
yeah,
So what Roland's saying is executives, people at work, businessmen, people working from home can now have video calls with animals on the farm and exotic animals, and in the process they can help support the farm and feeding the animals, and they get video calls, interactive experiences with farm animals and stuff. Is that right?
yes.
Okay, cool. Carry on.
So that was my idea. Like if it works out with goats, how can we improve this process a bit to be a bit better? So I went to the local zoo and I discussed with the director there, like let's start with connecting some more exotic animals like seals, like spider monkeys, and see like see how the people are going to react to that. And that was the original idea. I've seen that this is also a worldwide issue since the COVID lockdown started, that circuses, zoos, and even like farms around the world are struggling with bringing any type of income to feed their animals. And it's not about the like being successful or like improving the things, but you know these places have really high expenses, like horses or bigger animals eat tons and tons of food. So this is like my initiative was to bit refresh even your day-to-day meetings by a couple of minutes of shock that you are having from some personal trainer, like
Like
doing
me.
some selfies with your favorite animal, and also like giving that essential feed for the animals on the other side.
So I think that's a brilliant idea, because not only do people love helping animals, rescuing animals, supporting, animal startups and things like that, but they get a personalized, interactive video call with the animal they're helping to save. So that's brilliant.
Thank you. That
So
that was
I
also
think,
my idea. This is what it comes into. I think that that's really interesting. That refers back to the startups as well. That people can on the other side have highly different perception of things. Like for example, as one example, like when I started advertising this service, my first idea was to start advertising this opportunity on different Facebook groups that are specifically focused on saving animals, with animal rescuers, like or also like more nature-minded people or vegetarians or like this kind of communities. And I was the biggest person to get shocked, like when I started to advertise the video that I created. People actually started to attack me that why do I want to support zoos where animals are locked down, and they are like this is not the initiative that people need at this time. And I was like totally in shock, as I said, like like it's not this animal's choice to be in a zoo or to be in a farm or to be in a sanctuary. Like still this is the same animal who is like suffering because of not getting enough feed, so like my idea was to help the animals themselves, not to generate profit for the people behind them, but to pay for their feed stuff. And from that, like the animal doesn't do any, like cannot be blamed for being in this place or that place. So I from the ethics side, I got into some really interesting like fight with the people to realize this project, and I got really surprised.
Well, the people in the call can see close up and first hand the conditions that the animals are in. So that's a good thing too, isn't it? Because
Yes.
it's bringing exposure and public awareness to the conditions. And, if the animals are happy and if they're being well fed and they've got plenty of freedom to move around and stuff, it's probably not a bad thing, I don't think.
Not at all. And these animals, for example, have been accustomed to people around them for many years. And they are also suffering from loneliness and isolation now being in COVID. It might be surprising, but they got used to the crowd around them. And if you are lacking those impulses, that stimulation, that can that now changes their surrounding really monotonous to become really
Right.
monotonous.
Doesn't have to be in the zoo either. It could be at a farm,
Yeah, or in a
or
sanctuary or other places.
wildlife sanctuary, or even on a safari.
Yes, exactly.
You could have the webcam in a safari jeep and go out and talk to lions and stuff. Okay, so last aspect, and then I'm going to talk a little bit about our collaboration. Yeah. So the other thing you mentioned to me, I think I saw it in one of your videos actually about helping startups, was you said that you also integrate the spiritual aspect into your business. So just tell me a little bit about that, and also how that might help people if they were working with you. Just before you answer that question, tell the listeners how they can contact you for your animals to you. if they want a Zoom call with a goat or a leopard, how do they do that? And tell them your YouTube. And the other thing is, how old is it? How long have you been doing it?
Yes. This so this project has been up actually for since last spring. It was up for a couple of months last spring, but after that we had really tough restrictions. Even for the zookeeper staff, they had a really strict new protocol because of the government not to enter only for like smaller periods the zoo and all that. So the project was seized last summer and then also in the colder time in winter. So now it's being
Now's a perfect opportunity to relaunch it then.
yeah to revive definitely.
So what's your YouTube channel name for the Animals to You project?
It was also called Animal to You, but for some like now because at the moment it's taken down, so anyone can contact me if you're interested. because we are still having these discussions with the director of the zoo to relaunch it now that the weather is getting better.
And start talking to some farm owners and things as well.
Yes, definitely.
Okay, cool. The name, I had a vision, I had an insight come through regarding the name, and I thought I'd share it with you. It's entirely up to you whether you want to run with it or not, but how do you feel about the name Animals to the Rescue?
Yeah,
And
I think.
I'll tell you why I like that, because it portrays the communication that the animals are rescuing the person back.
Yes, that's a more expressive way, I would say. Like definitely, that's what I also experienced. That maybe the 1 minute that I mentioned before is a bit exaggeration because it's more likely that you have like 10 seconds to grab the attention of the other person and really deliver the message that you want them to understand. So if I was thinking that if the animal to you concept itself is potentially a bit too broad to discuss like directly, and it should be more specified, as you say.
Well, the name is good. I like the name, but it doesn't. When I hear it, it doesn't give me any kind of, doesn't betray any kind of sense of what the topic is about. Do you know what I mean? It does in a broad sense, but anyway, I just thought
Yes.
animals to the rescue. So you can think about that. All
Yeah,
right,
that's a cool one.
So thank you very much for elaborating on that lot. So should we talk about collaboration now in a kind of a less formal sense?
Yeah, definitely.
So you're going to help me with some intro videos.
Yes. So I would like really to hear like what you had in mind for the team. For if you had if you can share me some experience of most of the time of your customers or your audience that you would like the videos to deliver to, like their maybe their interest or their demographics, like whether you thought about like creating videos with like reference to something, like for example when you're starting up like showcasing new antiques, would you like to have an intro like an old movie counting back and then you are starting up something new, for example, or you would like something as a more Asian themed logo appearing? Do you actually have a vision for your newly coming antique site, for a name, for a logo, or this kind of like identity?
So my main channel, Map Live the One, right, which I've been uploading to since about 2008, as it's always been. It started out, I just used to make fun videos with my nieces and my nephews and my family and stuff, and filming the dog or just out walking or anything I found interesting. So having a science background, because I qualified in engineering as an electronics engineer, you know, I have some idea, like you, of how things tick in that genre, as you say.
Yeah.
So anything I find interesting, like I'd pick up a battery, and I'd want to know how it worked. So it's not enough for me to just go on Wikipedia and read about what the mainstream science says about it. I have to take it apart and analyze the molecules and stuff, you know.
Yeah, cool.
And I would film that and just put it on my channel. It's just as interesting. So some of my videos had over 1 million views, just on interesting stuff. And having an interest in battery technology, I also got into the field of free energy.
Mm.
Now, I had a very successful free energy video about permanent batteries that never need recharging. And that got 120,000 views on my main channel before YouTube deleted it.
Oh my God.
Because it was about free energy. I also got some harassment over that video, which I won't go into too many details, but I got followed and police harassment and helicopters and stuff like that. They basically didn't want me to research free energy and put it on YouTube.
Wow.
So that gave me some interesting experiences around from 2008 to about 2010, when I decided that the world would probably figure out free energy anyway, with or without my help. So I decided on the side of safety. So my channel's just always been just fun family stuff. So I like the intro for that, but it could be made a bit more professional. You know, I like the quirky, the 3 or 5 second intro is just a typewriter typing my name across the screen, and it goes tick 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 tick, like the typewriter going back. You know, the arm of the typewriter. So that's good. So I thought I could elaborate on that for my new channel, which is going to be called Innovision Vintage, because Innovision is basically the brand name I chose when I started doing personal development around about 1996. So I have a number of brand names. Okay, I've got Innovision. I don't know if I should do it that way or that way across the screen, but anyway, I've got Innovision, which is how it started out, and then there's Innovision Personal Development. And then I wrote some books, which I published myself, and formed the imprint Innovision Press, which I also have a website, innovisionpress.com, where I publish books for other people. But that project has kind of taken a bit of a back burner because I want to use that imprint to only publish my own books now. And then 2014, I got back into photography, won some photography awards and some competitions, took up photography professionally again. So we now have Innovision Photography as well.
That's so cool.
So that is my website, innovision.org.uk. And then more recently I started looking into antiques, and I'll tell you how I got into that, but that's called Innovision Vintage. And how I got into that was I was hard up and finding that making money online was nowhere near as easy as all the guys who drive around in Lamborghinis and say they did it from making YouTube videos or from selling cheap stuff from China on Amazon. You know, it's not as easy as all the adverts say. So I had to start making money, and making money fast, basically, because I've got rent to pay and bills to pay and stuff. So I started buying stuff in charity shops and selling stuff that I had lying about my flat, which I hadn't touched for like 20 years. Started selling it on eBay. Just old like designer shoes or pair of old Ray-Ban sunglasses, you know, that I hadn't used. Suddenly, all the stuff I hadn't used became vintage. So it sold really well on eBay. So anyway, I was in a second-hand shop in town, and I saw these 2 beautiful vases, which you can see on my eBay. They're still on there. And they were Japanese, and I didn't know what they were at the time, but they were £6 for the pair. And I bought them. And I spent about 3 days trying to find out what the mark meant on the bottom. This was like 2.5 years ago. And through that experience, I learnt about how to read Japanese marks, all the different styles of Japanese pottery. And I got into antiques, basically, and that's how it worked. But it's been very successful so far. So my thought about to help you with the intro would be to, this is just my idea, this is my vision, right, would be to list, I'll do it from my side, but it will be from left to right, going down the screen, would be to reveal the names of my different companies. So it would be Innovision Personal Development, Innovision Press, Innovision Photography, Innovision Vintage, and then put a sold stamp across them. So it would go like chunk, 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 stamp, sold. And it only needs to be like 3 seconds, 5 seconds, 10 seconds at the most. And just use that as an intro at the start of every video, basically. How does that make you feel?
So you mean they also come up like almost like a stamp. They are pressed onto the page, and they have the stamp between that they are sold.
Well, they come up one at a time, like a step, going diagonally across the screen, and then diagonally the other way.
On the other side of the two parts that are left empty, right?
Yeah. Let me show you on a piece of paper. So they'll go like this. So they'll have the title of each brand.
Yeah.
Across diagonally, stepping across downwards, and then it will go at the end. It will go stamp sold.
In the middle, stamp.
Yeah, going diagonally the other way.
So it's almost like an X. Yeah.
Yeah, across all of them. Yeah. So that would be my intro, but I could make a longer intro with kind of showcasing antiques and stuff. But I think just for a quick project to get that channel off the ground. Just want a short intro, but if you could do something like that with computer graphics, make it look professional, that'd be amazing.
Yeah, definitely. I can look into it.
Doesn't need to be too technical.
Yeah, but I would like it to look nice. All in all.
But Premiere Pro, but it would take me hours and hours and hours. I'm not that good at it.
But would you like it to be in an Asian style? Would it be going for your antiques channel, or would it be also applied in your general one now?
No, focus on my antiques channel. So you could make it look rustic, if you wanted to, or old film. You could do old film and then have the stamp come across in bright red or something like that.
And do you have like logos for these different brands that you are having to make it more visually appealing as well?
I do, but they're not all that high quality. So when they're on the big screen, they look a bit pixelated.
Because I can also help you with redesigning those logos for the 4. And then you could have brand new logos for them, and we could make them interactive with the stamp.
Okay. Cool.
I can definitely help you with that, but I would like you to please show me what you got now. Like send it to me later on, and I can make you some kind of suggestions for alternatives, and you can like pick which one you like, and maybe we can like redesign it a little bit more, and we can end up with something nice.
And I don't want it like dreamy, like softly rolling into it. I want it
like come up.
Yeah, intuitive and snappy. So it gets your attention and makes you want to stick with the video,
Yeah.
I'm not trying to hypnotize anybody. So that's it. Really. So, I mean, I drew it out by pen. This was my idea, but you won't see it good because it's only biro. I don't know if you can see that. So it's just my brand names and then a stamp going across.
Personal development. The second one is press, inner vision press, right? And
Yeah,
photography. And
yeah.
the fourth one?
Oh, Inner Vision Oriental. That's my Facebook group. You could add that on there as
Okay.
well. Because
And inner vision vintage.
I now ID Oriental Antiques and do a real or repro assessment on them.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, something like that. But it's pretty crap because it's just biro. But
No, it's totally fine. I'm thinking that would you like that the word inner vision is written to each of them, like inner vision photography, inner vision antics, or we could make also like a general inner vision logo maybe into the middle and then come up like the different brands could come up like photography, antiques, oriental, and the others.
yeah, I
Or
don't
do you
know.
think it's going to be not too wordy for the readers that they have to read a lot and everything's happening fast?
I don't
Or
know.
I can also do like two types.
Maybe if you got the time and it's not too much trouble.
I will definitely look
I mean,
into it.
take your time. I'm not in a rush for it. It's just a little exchange really because we did that deal with the vase.
Hmm.
But I've got no pressure on you to produce a certain timeline or anything. It's just a friendly, fair exchange of energy, really.
Yeah, but I really love like the idea.
If you do it good, I'll give you plugs and promote you, cross promote you, and stuff like that. So links in the description.
Thanks.
Can I suggest a couple of things?
Yeah, definitely.
Are you planning on developing your own YouTube channel?
Yes. Recently, maybe I have mentioned that, but now during this COVID period, I had enough time to reevaluate my life as well. So I clarified my path a little bit more, which I would like to go on for the coming period. And I sort of limited my projects that are going on as well because I figured out that pushing everything just a little bit is not really giving, like, not really progressing anywhere, you know. So I ended up that I would like to I would like to go on the path of future on one side, and I would like to have a simultaneous other path with these antiques uh, from the past. And on the future side, I would like to also start a channel fairly soon, which is more about future foresight for the coming period. I would like to bring up different innovations from my experience in the different high-tech sites, like what are coming up in medicine, what is coming up in agriculture, what is coming up with drones or other things in the coming 3 to 5 to 10 to 20 years, and show like a timeline where we are heading, because even nowadays we are having more like modernity in our fingers or in our hand than what we would imagine, like some futuristic things like accessories that can evaluate your heartbeat and scan your body are already available in the form of jewelry, for example. And you wouldn't imagine that you can already wake up and you could go to a mirror that could scan your skin and put you into augmented reality and offer you like the best treatment to your skin, for example. They are all available and not just in like a sci-fi. They are already happening, and I would like to so a bit educate the people and give a more limelight into these technologies that are coming in and transforming us.
Yeah, technology is not always a bad thing.
So I'm planning to set up a channel where I'm going to show like what is coming up in the coming years in these different fields that we are having in our day-to-day life.
I think you should stick with your own name as your brand name.
Yes, for that one, I think so. Maybe because
then
after all, that is my background that I would like to utilize for it.
Yeah, tell people through your videos about your consulting business and startups and how you can help people and things. What I was thinking was if you made videos, apart from introducing your channel, if you could make each video a segment on a different topic, which would be a different aspect of either your consultancy or a different aspect of startup that people need to focus on. So rather than you say spending 20 minutes, telling everyone about everything and blowing their mind and confusing the crap out of them, you focus down on, say, what you need to do as a startup. For example, search engine optimization. You could make a video just on SEO, and at the end of it you can say, if you want to find out more about how I can help you, then you put a link to your website or your splash page. So some of the topics might be SEO, branding, business idea development, sustainability, targeting the right people, how to reach the right people, which is always difficult, isn't it? Attracting customers, converting leads, and the last one was how to advertise your product. So you could take topics like that and make one video on each of them, and then release one video a month or one every 2 weeks. And just build your channel, because every video is an advert for your business. And then on the about page you have your contact info.
And yeah, these are really good topics. And one more that I would maybe add is how to revolutionize your business model that you are having. Because what I have seen is that in many different companies, we are still having the traditional business model of selling something. And you just have a product and you sell it to the customer, and that is all. You get a one-time payment, and that is all. And this is not the best, because you cannot really forecast for your own future. You cannot really rely on the customers anymore, because you don't have stronger relationship together for a long-lasting on a long-lasting basis. And what I would like to help with is how you can redesign and redefine this model that you are doing in a way that you can really get a long-lasting relationship and long-lasting income from this. Because, for one example, you could have a vase. Let's say we have the antique vase that you are selling. In the traditional way, you are selling it as a one-time sale to the person. But in a more complex business model, you could on one side the sales, you could extend the sales. You could upgrade the offer. You could expand it. You could make it into a bulk one. Like if the person, yeah, that was my father. Like if you have a person and you know what he is looking for, you could suggest different type of items to that one sale, and you could help them to combine into a bigger one with bigger payment. And besides that, you could upgrade the offer with additional services, like helping them identify like maybe convey some of the information at the beginning and give a service that they would, if they would like to know more about the specific history of this kind of item, they could ask you as an expert or subscribe to your service to specifically look into the history of this specific product, for example. So you could add additional consulting or other type of services to it, and maybe like as you do it, I assume with the Facebook group that you are building, for example, you could also if those collectors have other additional items, for example, you could like offer them as a subscription basis to provide them additional services to the other items that they have, to help them identify their value or identify their origin or other things.
That's what we do. If they post in the group, I've got four admins now, and they're all extremely highly qualified. For example, Ryan is the curator of the Oriental department of John Nichols Auction House in the UK, and Keith had his own antique shop and runs an eBay business. And Coco runs an eBay business. He finds and sells extremely good quality old antiques, like Ming Dynasty stuff and things like that. And Sergey from Russia, he's just joined, but he's our translator. He's brilliant with all kinds of Chinese seal scripts and things like that. So we've got a brilliant knowledge base between us. But if someone posts in the group, we'll look at it for free. But if they want the in-depth, full identification, then we offer them paid services.
Yeah, and you could also upgrade this. Like this is the first step to offer them the services to identify the real value of the product. But why not give them an all-in-one solution afterwards? Like if they would like to sell this product, for example, you could be in charge of like connecting to the right specialized auction houses. Maybe if you have a network of auction houses to like take over the communication and get the best deal when it comes to like auctioning it or with the smallest fee from the different auction houses for this one. So you could also like help the person on the whole journey, not only on this one step of identifying the product, but what happens with the product afterwards, for example.
That's a very good idea. Yeah, I like that. I'm going to make a note of that. So just to wrap things up, would you like to see a couple of antiques?
Yes, I would love to.
Okay, we'll start small and then we'll build up, right? These were my brothers, right? They were a christening present to my brother.
Lovely.
Silver, solid silver cufflinks, right? And the hallmark checks out because he was born in 1967, and the hallmark on the back is a lion, which means they were made in Great Britain, and an anchor, which means they were made in Birmingham. And there's a letter T, and you look back through the letters, and it's the style of the letter identifies the year, and they were made in 1968. So,
wow, that's
I've got a pair like that at home as well. So I'm
that's
not at home
really cool. I thought you are going to show me some antiques that you have sourced in, but now that this one is from like a family treasure that you are having, that's really intriguing.
Vintage. This one, what do you think that is? And I'll give you a clue. It's not a landmine.
Wow. It also looks like a from the ceiling cap. It looks like some kind of water container from the World Wars. Is it a music box?
No. It's a leather-bound tape measure.
Oh, wow.
right? And it smells. When you smell it, it smells like you were in the workshop.
Wow.
Guess how old that is? That's
That
dated
must be at
between.
least 100 years old. I think end of the 19th century, when they still had those manufacturing places.
Well, this is a particularly old one because it's the company name. I can't remember. It's L and M something, but they went bust in 1868.
Wow.
So it's between 1820 and about 1868. I think it's 100 feet. I can pick those up on eBay for about a fiver, sell them for about £25.
Wow. And do you see that there is a interest from the collector side for these items as
Yeah,
well?
yeah, but there's lots of newer ones available, so you have to know how to identify the old ones because the old ones are more valuable.
Yeah. And have you looked into, like, it seems for me then you have a wide experience in different type of antiques. Like you're not only specialized in Oriental porcelain, ceramics, but
I'll sell
you are dealing with
anything.
other things too.
I'll sell anything. Do you know one of the things that I sold most of, and this will surprise you, right, is used training shoes.
Really?
Yeah, I started because I could pick them up really cheap. So if they're good condition, if they're not worn out and they've got good tread and stuff, I could pick them up for £1. And if they're Nike or Adidas, I can sell them for £20.
Wow. And do you get them locally?
You tell me, right? What investment model or what business model can times 20 your money in less than a week?
I would never in my life imagine that it's used, smelly Nike shoes.
Well, I've sold a lot of them. You'd be surprised.
This is a beautiful vase. I've seen it among your items, yes.
This is museum quality.
Hmm.
I've seen items from the Qing dynasty, Chinese, like famille rose, sell at Sotheby's for several £1,000,000 that are worse quality than this.
Wow.
But this is Japanese and it's not quite as old. So it's Satsuma, but it's the best, one of the best quality Satsuma I've ever seen, actually. And I bought that on eBay, bid on it in an auction. I was the only bidder and I've won it for the starting price. But it's beautiful and it's signed on the bottom as well. So it's authentic.
Yeah. That's really lovely.
I'm going to put that on my eBay for about £1,800. So if you can pick those up for 20 quid, you're laughing.
Yes. Have you got it recently?
Since I've been at Mum's, yeah. Since Christmas. I watched it for about 4 or 5 months because I couldn't identify the mark. And I'll tell you what threw me, right? There's a cockerel on there.
Mm-hmm.
Don't know if you can see it on your end. It's a bit shadow.
The bird?
Yeah, so this is the head.
Yes.
And then this is all the tail and stuff.
Yes.
So when I was trying to identify the mark, I misidentified it and I thought it said Cockerel Mountain. And I thought, oh, it sounds like a cheap Chinese knockoff, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And they've just signed it anything to make it look Oriental. And I misidentified it, and apparently it's Gyosan, which is a famous high-quality Satsuma maker from the 19th century. So I took a risk on it from the eBay photos. And when it arrived, it's about twice the size I expected it to be. And I was like, wow. Result, brilliant, yeah.
Yeah, that's brilliant.
So if you're getting into antiques, my advice is look for quality, right, and look for age, authenticity. If you have any doubts about whether an item's authentic or not, you're welcome to send me photos, and I'll have a look at it for you. But keep your starting price low to begin with. I'll recommend a channel you go and check out on YouTube, right? And she'll laugh if she sees this, but a friend of mine called Crazy Lamp Lady.
Crazy Lamp Lady.
Yeah, and she was by her own definition, she was a bit of a misfit at school and things, and didn't like school and didn't like conforming and didn't get on very well at college or anything like that. And she didn't know what she wanted to do, but she was very interested in vintage stuff and antiques. So she'd go around antique shops and charity shops and stuff and look for valuable antiques at bargain prices. And if you check out her channel now, you'd never believe she started off doing that, because she now has about 10 people working for her. She has her own warehouse, and she's selling about 50 items a day.
Wow.
And she's buying them for $4 or $5 and selling them for like $50, $200.
Like she's buying them and then identifying the origin and the mark and all that, and after that selling them for that price, right?
Yeah. Her favourite stuff is glassware. She loves glass. I don't know anything about glass, but if you go and check out some of her videos, she's very, very friendly, very happy, very easy to get along with, but she's also a very good business model.
I would love to check, yes. And have you thought about specializing in like any areas within like antiques?
Not really.
You would like to keep it broad?
Yeah, I have to keep an open mind, because I go with what I'm attracted to intuitively. And then the price has to be right to acquire it, you know. Yes. So there's one of these online by a manufacturer called John Rabone and Sons, and it's a 1868 model, and it's got the right stamp on it, and it's online for £9. And I've been watching it for about 2 months now, hoping the price will come down, because I just want to grab it for a bit cheaper.
But is it on it doesn't have a fixed price, right? So you have to wait until it's finished?
No, it has a fixed price. I put an offer in on it, but he rejected it.
Oh.
So I'm still watching it, but it's a good one. So I might grab it. If I buy it for £9 and then it's like £4 postage, that's 13. So I could get 20, 25 back for it. So
that's really cool. This is like unbelievably good, like a profit ratio, I would say. Like what I have seen, even for high price items, like I have a friend here who is selling cosmetics, for example, and he's importing cosmetics from Korea and has really good deals with the manufacturer, and still he's getting like less than 5% to 10% profit for himself on it. Like getting 100% or 20 times of the amount that you are saying it. For him, it's like you get the Nike shoes for $1 and sell it for $1.5. You know, it's not like selling it for 20. So it's unbelievable, like how big differences are there in such a market, and because the chaos, because the people don't take the time that much to identify really the value that they are having in their hands.
So I was going to call my antique company at the start. I was going to call it 10X. But someone else already has that name, so I changed it. But look at this, Roland. Look, see all these boxes and stuff.
Yeah. Wow.
But this is my room where I'm staying at my mum's, and we've got more bags of antiques down there.
Wow.
And here.
So
down
cool.
here I've got bags of Dinky and Corgi cars, little cars. Well, I can buy those for about £1 each and sell them for about £10.
Wow. And how much do you, when you put up an item, how much time does it take in general for a buyer to get it?
Well, it depends, because I don't do auctions. I do it as buy it now. So
You do it with fixed price.
Yeah. So the more inventory you've got on your eBay, the more stock you've got on your eBay, the more sales you make. It's kind of a numbers crunching game, really. So, but I've had stuff on there that's been sat on there for over a year, and some items you put on and you sell the next day. So you've just got to put it on there and basically forget about it, and then move on to listing the next thing. Yeah. So that's it, mate. So I think we should wrap this up, because it's quite a long. It's going to be quite a long video anyway, isn't it?
Yeah. But it's lovely. It's been really diverse.
But thank you very much for coming on, talking to me.
I can definitely cut out whatever part you think so.
I'm just going to leave it unedited. So tell people quick before we go where they can find your contact info.
Like, this is your channel, so anyone can ask you to give my info directly.
Right. Well, I'll put it in the description anyway.
Okay. Then I think the best is to reach me through my personal email. I could give some fancy company email, but the best is the personal one after all. So that would be roland@zonai.gmail.com that we are having.
Okay, got it. Right, mate. Have a good week, and I look forward to speaking to you again soon.
Yeah, you too, Matt. I will keep in touch.
Lots of love to your part of the world and to your family.
Thank you, and you too as well. See you.
Peace.